Have you noticed those kinds of people who always complain, who also bitch around, but not about most stuff that others do? There is that heroic kind of people, well, heroic in between inverted commas, that always seem to want to die. They always seem to be talking about that. Death is never far away from their lips. They're always so invested in presenting their whole miserable life when nothing happens. They're so interested in pointing that out as the epitome of suffering. They're just constantly invested in telling you how much they wish to perish, to be swept away from the pain that their whole life is, when the only problem they have, most likely, is that they don't receive a bit of attention, because most likely they're too stupid to figure out how to actually do that. And funnily speaking, many of these people are probably 60, 70, or probably beyond this age. Have you noticed how these people are that kind of a genre of people that always speak in reverse? That which they speak about the most, that which they revere the most is that which where they actually suck at the most. Or in the case of these heroic justicers of their own life, they always praise death. It's never far away from their lips. They always claim they willingly are to embrace it. But haven't you observed that they are always the first to jerk like a shivering robot that got short circuited when death comes and knocks at their window? Did you call? And they're like the only ones suddenly afraid. It's like for once in their life they have been reminded that they're actually alive, though they have been asleep for hundreds of years. They've lived their fucking life as if they've lived hundreds of years, as if they've lived millennia and they were some kind of god of pain whose entire and humanity's entire pains and sufferings rest on their shoulders. Well, from a certain perspective, it kind of does, because their ancestors were most likely not doing anything else, and whatever pains they could not transcend, well, they took it on their shoulders when they were born. And guess what? They sucked horribly at transcending it, and obviously they gave it to your parents, or, well, to you. And probably that is why you feel like you're carrying the suffering and pains and misaccomplishments of the whole humanity. And haven't you noticed that these are always the first guys to, to shiver, to tremble when anything reminding them of death actually comes to them? You spook them once and suddenly they feel that they are alive, that death might actually come for them, and then suddenly they're like, please, mommy, 5 more minutes. No, you've suffered enough. Go simply let those pile of bones rest. You've made a mess enough out of those, right? How about doing something with all that talent you have invested in? You're speaking so much about freaking death and undoing oneself and this and that, and it's all just drama and actually pathetic drama. It's like, how about you actually start doing something with that? You might write some very nice poetry about that. You might write some very ingenious ideas, some very good theater plays about that, right? You might actually become a bit famous for that, but instead, no, they actually choose to bitch and complain. And God forbid you tell them something different, because then, oh my gosh, they're gonna label you in all sorts of ways, shapes, or forms. And I was asked, how do you actually counter those people who constantly do nothing else but label you? It's like, look, I'm gonna tell you a tip that's gonna sound so wacky, you're probably not gonna believe it. See, all those fuckers know is to simply constantly label you. Most likely they're just pinpointing their own weaknesses, failures, and, well, the failure that they are in life, and then portraying it upon you because you're kind of a sad reminder for them of what they could have done in life instead of just complaining and doing this and that. Yes, it is written even in the Holy Scriptures that there are some kinds of people that you should not bother to help because they are just floating ruins, right? Or sinking, or whatever you want to call them. I call them floating ruins because, well, they're dying slowly and surely, but at the same time, they are, heads in their clouds, right? And, well, it sounds very fitting, but, English is kind of a flat language. But the point is, See, when people label you, don't bother to tell them anything. Just let them say the same stupid, worthless sounds that they make. They're not gonna produce anything good for humanity, for their kind, for their community, even for themselves. So why would you bother yourself with the trash? You know? You're just barking, you're just howling, you're just arguing with your trash bin, and it's like the trash in it doesn't want to be taken. Just take the trash out and don't bother with it. Don't bother with the trash in your life. It was designed to stay there for a while until you wake up, until you break enough that you realize, why am I arguing with the trash? It was meant to leave my life sooner or later, anyways. When people label you and this and that, just make a list of all their beautiful labels that they are calling you. Just make a list of those. And then create the wackiest poesy, the wackiest poem that you can make about yourself. Yes, make it sound as wacky, as heroic as ever. Turn it into a hymn of your existence, if you will, because in the end it is a hymn of your existence. You have survived what those fuckers can't because they gave up their humanity, their inner child, their freedom of speech, even. They're doing self censorship. They're living like a slave of everything around them. Yes? And they're coalescing into a hive mind of slaves that polices one another to not leave that hive mind of slavery. Yes? While you're simply the one who lived exactly like them, in the same environment, but still did not give up anything. Or whatever you gave up, you're claiming as time passes by, while they are sinking more and more in the mud of their misery, while looking at you, while you're literally taking a piss on their faces, right? You're literally marking them as part of your territory because technically you own them. They used all the possible ways against you. Maybe they've been violent physically, maybe they've been violent verbally, or maybe even both. They've been violent psychologically, psychological warfare. They made you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Now they're still thinking, and you're there in a place where you can't think. You're literally taking a piss on all of them. You're literally the piss in their life, a sad reminder of what they could be. So, in the end, make the best poem, the best hymn of your existence, because in the end it is nothing else but a proof of the greatness that you are achieving in time. If you see the trash shivering in your presence, it is only because they know one day that the trash has to be taken out. Yes? So if they're telling you that you're the trash and you should take yourself out, please do. Take yourself out of their lives and make sure the trash doesn't get back into your life yet again. Because boy, oh boy, they've been calling you shit and all sorts of names once you were in their life. Once you leave, they will do everything possible. They will sell even the soul they don't have to Satan just so that they can shit on you yet once more. If you want to give them hell, just become great and let them torment themselves in their own pains, because that's what they've been doing their whole life when you were not doing anything. Imagine what they're gonna do when you actually start doing something for yourself. So hope this video raises a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. Well, wishing you happy holidays as well. This being said, Ferinjan Board signing out.